2414 is a podcast about finding hope and common ground through casual conversation. Like the friends on the road in the New Testament, in Luke chapter 24, verse 14, we want to walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. Thanks for walking with us.
What's up, listeners? I can never take myself seriously. Hello, this is 2414. My name is Shane Welter, and today we're joined by a very special guest, David Acuña. Hello.
Hi, Shane. I can't believe you've done this.
I can't either. Debuting some new sounds on the board. I don't know if I'll get to any of them, but the one I was most excited for was the air horn. It's so hype. I love it.
Boy, if you could see the face I'm making right now.
It's not disappointment at all. No. Well, I'm glad you could join us. Join this today, and I don't know. We just get to talk and get to know more about each other and more about you, really, and just talking about your life, your journey so far. But every episode, 2414, we begin with highs, lows, and a question of the day. And the question of the day is, I've thought about this actually for once. The question of the day is, what book, movie, or game was the most immersed you've ever been in? So, or of those three categories, what's the most immersive experience with either one of those categories that you've been? So I'll start us off for the highs, lows, question of the day. Give you time to think before we jump to it. So my let's start low. My low is that but just slightly discouraged. So I'm planning like a workshop event this weekend with tech band and whatnot. And just a fair amount of people who can't make it. And I've tried to get way ahead of it. And I sent out dates early in the summer and whatnot. And there's still a few. And I'm like, I wanted this to be more. So I was very discouraged, but I was able to talk with some people, just vent about it. So that was really refreshing. And
it's always tough trying to host things, isn't it?
It's always an uphill battle, it feels like, in life. But I think we'll make the most of it, and it'll be great, and we'll have a grand old time.
Yeah.
It'll be great. My high, I had it and I lost it. Oh my goodness, I can't. I can't. Oh no.
It was so high it went over your head.
It was just, it's so high now it's lost in the clouds. It was that good. I can't remember it.
It became a silver lining.
Hey. I think it's all the way in cloud 9. Hey. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to make something up because I really cannot remember. Okay. Hi. Was this past weekend we did a youth-led service where a bunch of youth were leading in various parts, whether up front or in the back or greeting people or doing whatever. And all in all, thought it went really, really well. For a first time, just involving the youth and just making them part of the service and the experience and everything. That was really cool.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So it was just really cool, just getting everyone involved and having fun with it. So that was really good this last Sunday. And then my question of the day, what
movie, book, or game?
Yeah, was the most immersive experience for me. And for that, I think I'd have to say Halo 3 as a kid.
Really?
Yes. It has such a deep nostalgic impact when I hear the the chants or any of the other music. It's just immediately I'm sucked into my childhood. I'm this was my favorite thing ever. So growing up, Halo for listeners who have no idea what that is, Halo 3 and the Halo series is a video game series released progressively throughout the years for the last 20 years.
I think Halo 3 came out in like 2007, 2008.
I think it was 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2007. And yeah, when that came out, I was just so ecstatic. I couldn't play it when it first came out because my brother bought it and he was just hogged the Xbox 360.
Oh, preaching to the choir on that one, man.
It's the worst. But then eventually, he had to do work and other responsible things, so I got to play on it, and it just was the best experience of my life growing up. And I just soaked every hour of every day playing that game.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and I just love the story of it. I can't say the same nowadays. I try to play it, and it's just not the same experience, but oh well. It captured my every ounce of existence.
Remind me to talk to you about something later, because there's this wonderful thing on video games called mods, and I've got some for you, my friend.
But I don't have a PC.
Then we should fix that.
We should fix that. A few $100,000 later, but
naturally.
But yeah, so that's a bit about high-low and my immersed experience with that. Flip it over to you, David. Hey.
Howdy. All right. A recent low was my job situation. For people who are close to me, I was working a perfectly fine job, and it was adequate. It paid the bills. I got to work from home 3 days a week. It was really great.
Nice, yeah.
The other 2 days a week, I had to commute to Kent, which isn't bad. Kent to Federal Way isn't
not the worst, but it's still a little hike.
Yeah. That changed at the end of June when my company got acquired by another company. Not going to be naming any names here.
Yeah. Okay.
And suddenly it's, you have to be in the office full time. We're resetting all your benefits, so you don't have your PTO anymore.
Oh my.
And now you're under new management, and everything is different. And the new management has very different values. Let's put it that way. So
it's just a completely different job, basically.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like, oh, you're doing the same work just for a different company, but no. It was a very rough change. I was no longer happy, and going to work every day in Kent was a chore, and it forcing myself out of bed. I would accidentally sleep through my alarms. Maybe my body was just saying, no, we don't want to do this.
Just rejecting this.
Yeah. So beginning of this month, I said, you know what? I'm done. I don't think I can do this anymore. I need to do what's best for me.
Yeah.
And so I quit my job, and honestly, that's kind of been a high now, is just obviously I'm still job searching, and I've got some good prospects coming up, and I'm confident in my ability to find work. Mm-hmm. But having the time to just spend time with the family, I'm always happy to babysit the 3-year-old nephew and the 1-year-old niece.
Yes.
And just hang out with the friends and just be not employed for a little bit has been a real high.
That's really nice.
I'm sure there's plenty of people who are job hunting out there who are like, what in the heck is David doing right now? But I had to, like I said, I had to do what was best for me.
Yeah.
And staying at that job would have just continued taking its toll on me mentally, physically. And so I've got some other good things in the works right now, and it's also helped me focus on a different project I've been working on, which we can probably go into detail later.
Yes, we will. And we'll in like a minute or two.
Okay.
Yes.
And as for immersion, boy. So I was expecting you in the last year, but no, you're talking of all time.
All time, yes.
Okay.
Going deep.
All right. Well, one of the ones I've found the best in recent years is a game called Undertale.
Oh, yes.
It's by basically a one-man show. He made an entire game by himself with help from some good friends.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be one of the biggest games in the last decade, because for many people who don't play games, they think, oh, games are violent. Games are all about, save the princess, win the day.
Very basic, thin storyline kind of thing. Yeah.
And Undertale is all about taking your preconceptions and flipping them on their head. So it becomes a game not about trying to, defeat all the monsters and save the day. It's no, you are going through a very well-written story. Like you are immersed in this great world with amazing music, and it's all about befriending the monsters so that they don't want to fight you anymore by like appealing to their better natures
or killing them all.
Well, but that's a choice.
It is.
And it's and the game is all about choices, and the game remembers the choices you make. So if you choose to be a good person and do the good things, then you end up engrossed in this story about all these like complex characters and people who seem really shallow at first, but then you get to know them and it's like, oh my gosh, they have all these hidden depths to them. This is why they do these things. And it's official that there is someone who owns a copy of Undertale that you wouldn't expect to. It's the Pope.
Really?
Really. There was a summit in recent years he held where someone from the video game YouTube community, the Game Theory channel. He decided that he wanted to bring a gift to the Pope because everyone was supposed to bring like something representative of like their field of expertise, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And so he chose to present this as to be like, hey, games are not just mindless things anymore. They're stories, they're music, they're art, and they're these great things that people of all ages can enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Pope played it.
Well, we don't know if he actually played it or not, but he owns a copy.
That's good enough for me. I can pretend the rest.
Exactly.
I know this would mean nothing to our listeners, but my first playthrough of Undertale was probably the saddest thing ever because you have no idea what's going on. I wanted to go in blind, not knowing anything. Yeah. And I wanted to do a pacifist run. And I thought I did until the end. And I remembered I killed the very first character of the game.
No.
Your mother, basically. Or your caretaker.
Your adoptive caretaker.
Yeah. Because I didn't realize.
Also a goat.
Yeah. And I didn't realize you couldn't. There was an option to like not kill her.
Yeah.
And so I accidentally killed her and went through the entire rest of the game. And I was like, what did I mess up? I'm like, oh, I killed the one person.
And you feel bad about it.
I felt terrible. I was like, oh no.
Like, and this is what I love about video games nowadays is like their emotional experiences. It's not, obviously there's the simple like bang, bang, fight, shoot, etc. It's like, and that's all just about, having a good time. It's like going to a sports bar.
Yeah.
And then there are horror games, which are scary. Like you get an emotional high out of it. Like it's like watching a scary movie, but you're in control, which makes it even worse.
Very terrifying.
And then there's stuff like Undertale, which is like sitting down and reading a good book.
It really is. And it's simple. Like I think the game can be complex depending on like how you describe it. But really like the game is walk around, talk to people, and survive
and enjoy some jaunty music.
Very good music. Oh God, I could talk about Undertale for a long time. It's been so long. But that's amazing. Yeah, great game. So I don't have a good transition for this, but what you were saying before. So you stepped down from your job, but on the side you've got something going on that might be news to a lot of our listeners. But during I would say summer, but it's kind of like late summer, early fall, August, September, over the next 2 months, or when this comes out, about a month and a half-ish, give or take.
Yeah.
David is officially interning with St. Luke's doing video production stuff. So probably could describe that better other than using the word stuff. But you were helping create videos and content for St. Luke's. And the most recent one you've kind of compiled together was videos we've got on YouTube on the St. Luke's channel called Discipleship Values. So they're up now, and you can watch them. It's under St. Luke's Church, or you can search, I think, Discipleship Values and St. Luke's or something like that. And you'll see series talking about what's a value and important to the life of St. Luke's. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can also check that out, or you don't even have to be watching this on YouTube. You could just check it out on YouTube at our page. So that's really cool. That was your first project. We've got other stuff coming up, but we figured it'd be good for listeners, the church, and everyone to get to know you better. Like, who is David Acuña? We want to hear more about you. So I guess I've got a very basic, I think, question to open that can up. But
go for it.
Where were you born?
My mother's going to kill me for not knowing this question. I'm pretty sure I was born in Tacoma.
Okay. You're probably Washington.
Born and raised in Washington, without a doubt.
So it wasn't like Alabama or.
No, I am unlike you, sir. I did not move here and completely change my life. I've basically born and raised and lived here all my life, aside from going to college in Arizona.
That's pretty far, though.
They made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
They threatened you, and
they threatened me with 5 figures.
Oh, what college doesn't? But too deep. But I guess we're skipping some middle part here. But I am curious in hearing about that. What college did you attend in Arizona?
I attended University of Arizona in Tucson. Which, when I first got the offer letter, I said, it's some college in Tucson.
If it helps, I said the same thing. And Lauren has made fun of me so many times.
Yep. It's a common mistake.
It looks like Tucson. What are we supposed to do?
I mean, how many people try to pronounce Puyallup?
I said Puyallup for the first year, so we all have our fair share of mistakes. But so University of Arizona, what did you study while you were there?
I studied computer science.
Computer science. Okay. And I guess what does that entail per se? Is that like how computers operate, how to code, how to
So this is a fun difference that I also learned in college. Computer science is basically using computers to do what you want.
Okay.
And computer engineering is the act of building the computers.
So like manually building it?
Yeah, like hardware versus software.
Gotcha.
So computer science uses the software to make programs and algorithms and things like that.
Okay.
And computer engineering is we are building the hardware that is going to run all of these programs and software and things.
Okay, gotcha. So it's, I guess, the analog versus digital part of it. So
kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Analog being like how does the RAM and the CPU and the GPU, and why do you need so much power supply? What's your your drives, your graphics, et cetera, et cetera.
All of the technical physical handmade part, not handmade, whatever, but the building parts of it. Okay.
Yeah, if you've ever wanted to build your own computer, say one to play computer games on, Shane.
Intriguing me.
Then you don't need to take a university course, but it certainly helps.
Okay.
People who are studying computer engineering will go on to learn how to make their own parts, their own GPUs, graphics cards.
Gotcha. Would blow my mind. I can't imagine making that.
Neither can I. I did computer science.
Yeah, that's different. Very.
Yeah. And the objective I wanted to do with computer science was I wanted to make my own games. I loved playing games. I've basically been playing video games my entire life.
Yeah.
And that's just a recreational pastime. It's something I really enjoy. And so I was like, shoot, I've got ideas. I want to make these things. Yeah. It's a lot easier said than done. Because trying to make your own games, you literally need to learn new languages and programming languages. Yeah,
that coding and programming is just the most mind-boggling thing to me. And I refuse to think about it because it's too confusing to imagine.
You're exactly right, and obviously there are what's the word I'm looking for? Pre-made build your own game software and things like that.
Yeah. There's there's preset programs, right?
Yeah.
Where you can they make it as simple as possible to create it.
Mm-hmm. And those are totally fine. Those are totally valid.
Yeah.
But the method I was going was kind of a very broad, you can use this coding language to learn how to do other things. It did not go very well.
Oh no.
Because not only was I so there's a lot of contributing factors. Mm-hmm. Let's rewind a little bit to high school. I went to a small private high school in Tacoma called Mount Rainier Lutheran High. We used to be partnered with this church. We would our choir would come and visit. We would have old pastors come up and do chapel sermons and things like that. It was great.
Yeah.
My graduating class was the largest at about 43.
Okay. And this was grade school or high school?
High school, 9 through 12.
Okay.
And
All right.
so we were the absolute largest. And have been since then.
Okay.
Going from a graduating class of 43 to a student body of about 20 to 30,000, or however many students were at University of Arizona.
That's a pretty big change.
It was a very big change, as well as you're now living in your own dorm. You are beholden to yourself, like to get yourself to classes and things like that.
Yes.
Also, and I'm sure my family knows. Of course, he's going to talk about this. I suffered a concussion senior year of high school.
Oh, please tell more if you're willing.
Well, it's kind of foggy. No,
you don't remember. Oh, okay. Well,
it was playing baseball. Junior year, one of my friends approached me and said, "Hey, my senior project is I'm going to put together our first school baseball team. Do you have any passing interest in baseball whatsoever?" Well, I played baseball as a kid a little bit, and and you're my friend, so sure, I'll help you out.
Why not? Yeah.
So junior year, that went fine, and senior year, I inherited being a captain for the baseball team.
Congrats!
Just by virtue of being a senior.
And so it goes, I guess.
Yeah, it was our second year. We didn't have normal rules set or anything like that.
There weren't rules for your baseball.
No, there really weren't. And so right towards the end of the season, I was the third baseman.
Okay.
And a ground ball got hit to me, but it was like I was kind of fumbling with it in the dirt. Mm-hmm. There was a guy on second, and he was a pretty big guy.
Okay.
And he ran very quickly and essentially hip checked me right in the temple.
Jeez.
Which is like the worst place to get hit because it's like the soft part.
Ugh.
I saw stars. Next thing I knew, I was sitting on the ground facing the opposite direction. And
wow.
I was like, oh, this is not good. I tried to kind of lay down. That caused my head to throb with immense pain. And I said, okay, that's not happening.
Oh.
And so
you're just sitting by yourself now, and everyone's just watching.
Well, my coach ran out and was like, okay, do you know where you are? Do you know what's going on? And thankfully, I did. Like, no short-term memory issues or anything like that.
Yeah.
But suffice to say, I was out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And not only that, but apparently the type of concussion I suffered, I don't remember the specificities. But
ironic, coincidental, I guess.
They can have long-term learning impairments.
Really?
And going right from concussion senior year, one summer of recovery to
college,
to state university.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for it at all. And as a result, my GPA suffered immensely. I flunked a class for the first time in my life.
Wow. And there was all time before that, you were, I think, or you just academically, were you fine, steady?
I was above average.
Okay.
Not quite a 4.0, but pretty darn close.
Oh, okay.
And I worked very hard for that.
Yeah.
But then, my GPA tanked. I lost my scholarship as a result.
What?
And so then after 2 years and taking out a bunch of loans, it's like, I don't really know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a good idea to be out here getting further and further into debt.
Yeah.
And just to try and figure it out. So, tried living in Arizona with friends for a spell that lasted about 3 or 4 months.
So living out there without, so you had, stepped away from the university and you said, all right, I'm just going to try to live out here.
Yeah. Live with friends. Like I'm still kind of writing that, I want my college experience, quote unquote.
Yeah. Being away and just kind of independent finally.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately, when you work part-time as a busser at Red Lobster, you don't make enough money to do it. My commute would usually last longer than my shifts.
What?
Because I also didn't have a car, so I would have to take the inner city bus to get to work.
So you had to walk to the bus stop, take the bus, get off, wherever.
Yep, 2 buses usually, because it take one to the transit station and then one to the street I needed to get to.
Wow.
And that would usually take anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half.
And at some point you were like, this is not sustainable.
Yeah, after I was dipping into my savings every month for
just to live.
Yep, I'm like, okay, sorry guys, I'm gonna basically leave all of my non-essential stuff here, and I need to move back home.
So did you just pack like everything in a flight? Did you just take a U-Haul back, or?
I was basically living out of 2 suitcases. My bed was a full-size air mattress, and my closet was a collapsible, like, basically closet of fabric I found at Target. It worked, like, but the room I was staying in was also didn't have a door. It had 3 walls because it was like a common area we converted into my bedroom.
What? And so that did you like draw the short straw, and they were like, you're going to be...
The offer was like, okay, because you don't have this privacy, like your rent's not going to be as high as everyone else's.
Makes sense.
So I tried to make it work. It absolutely did not work. So I moved back home. I found another job, and then the rest is just... work, hobbies, friend circles kind of changing a little bit, and then where I am now.
Okay.
And then,
which I think, there's I think a lot to unpack, especially like kind of like with what like how that unfolded afterwards. But I want to back up a little and just ask, like, how would you describe growing up? Like, so you went to small high school, Mount Rainier
Lutheran High.
Mount Rainier Lutheran High. And then, but that was like around high school. So kind of all before that, what was it like growing up? And I'm assuming you grew up in the Tacoma Federal Way area?
Federal Way area, actually, like quite literally 5 minutes walk away from church.
Oh, wow. Okay. So really just, 5-minute walk?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Like not... no, I don't want to name names. Like, there's a house not far from church that has almost always been in the hands of someone who goes to this church. Like,
gotcha.
It has changed families a bunch of times, but it has always been like someone who goes to this church lives in that house.
Part of St. Luke's.
It's really amazing. And one of my good friends lives there now.
Yeah.
So
that's where you lived.
We had the house next door.
Oh, gotcha.
Which I think was also built by someone who went to this church. I don't remember if it was like maybe the Brits or the Sotos. My parents know. I don't.
Yeah.
They have a better memory than I do.
So somebody built that, or probably built that house.
Yeah. And that was the house I grew up in with my 2 older brothers. I'm the youngest of 3.
Okay.
My brother John and my brother Matt. And my brother Matt is the one with my adorable niece and nephew.
Gotcha. Okay. And so, youngest siblings. Woo.
Yep, and all the pros and cons that it comes with.
But all the older siblings would disagree.
The con of being an older sibling is the younger sibling.
That is very true.
Yeah. Growing up was overall good.
Nice.
Mom and Dad were not working full time. Dad has worked at Puget Sound Energy for as long as I had been alive, until he retired like 5 or 6 years ago.
Which were previous guests of the show. Back, I think we had a series on retirement. So we talked to Paul and Sue.
Fantastic people.
Very. So if for more insight on the Acuña parents, I guess you can watch that or listen to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But so
Dad was working full time.
Okay.
Mom, however, was not. At least not right away.
Okay.
She was being a full time mom to us.
Okay.
And so as a result, apparently we didn't have a whole lot of money growing up.
Yeah.
But as kids, we had no idea because both of my parents are very clever and very good at like doing things that didn't require a whole lot of money. Like, the Federal Way Mall used to be called the SeaTac Mall. Now it's the Commons. They used to have these giant pillars in the front that had these little like cross sections in the middle that we were young enough we could squeeze through.
Really?
And so a joy would just be, hey, we're going to go to the mall. We're just going to play on these things out in the front of SeaTac Mall, and we're going to have a blast with it. Like, this was a highlight of our childhood.
That is a highlight. Those things, that sounds like a lot of fun, honestly.
It was just great. There was a school, Mirror Lake. We would used to go and play there all the time. We'd ride our bikes. We'd play on the jungle gym. Like, just normal kid stuff. Like, I had a great childhood growing up. Aside from living in Federal Way and going to school in Tacoma, meant that all of my friends were in like the Tacoma Puyallup area. Like,
okay.
Because I did not know a whole lot of the kids around here. My age, not until I like got to youth group around like 4th grade, 5th grade.
Okay, so you had to, I guess, commuting or hanging out with people was a harder thing to do because of distance.
Yeah, because I did go to kindergarten and like preschool here at church.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and then 1st grade through 12th grade was in Tacoma.
Gotcha. Okay, and all throughout there, through 1st grade and high school, you were in Tacoma
the whole time.
Okay.
Grade 1 through 8 was at Concordia Tacoma, now Concordia Christian Academy.
Oh, okay.
Which actually absorbed Mount Rainier.
It absorbed.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the term for it.
It is
because they just became one big school, and instead of being Concordia, I think it was Concordia Lutheran School Tacoma. Now it's Concordia Christian Academy because now it also has a high school element to it.
Gotcha. Okay, so Concordia originally was K through 8.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And
now it's a pre-K through 12, I believe.
Okay. So it's still, I guess, so it's just a big combined everything.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that makes more sense now. Because I think I've heard of the various school names, but I wasn't sure how that all came together in the end. Or like, okay. All right.
Yeah, Concordia Tacoma, not to be confused with Concordia, Wisconsin, Concordia Irvine, Concordia Portland, rest its soul.
Rest its soul. So many Concordias in the LCMS.
Right?
But we digress. So you were saying before, like, well, part of your like experiences and hobbies and growing up were through like video game stories, like really good.
Yes, there are pictures of me as basically a 2-year-old or younger with a Nintendo controller in my hand, unplugged, but I had no idea.
That was the best prank ever.
Yep. So my older siblings would be playing. Mom and Dad would be playing after we went to bed. Like it was it was very much a Nintendo household, and
so everybody played.
It was great fun.
Oh. I cannot say the same about my family. I think my parents did not really play many video games.
Different values.
Yeah, absolutely. So was it were a lot of those early memories of that through Nintendo? Like,
for the most part, yeah. Some of my best memories are with my dad actually, and we'd be playing the Donkey Kong games on Super Nintendo. And we'd always want to be like, okay, let's go to the next level. We want to do the next thing. And Dad, no, I want to go back and ride the minecart level. I want to keep doing this one over and over and over.
Why the minecart level?
Because it didn't require anything other than pressing the jump button.
That's okay. That makes sense.
The minecart would just go by itself, and Dad would just have to push one button.
Pretty intuitive.
And he'd be good. And as kids, we'd be getting infuriated. No, Dad, you're doing it wrong. You're supposed to go to the next one.
You just
but
coaching through that,
and he's like, no, I just want to do this, and we're laughing, but we're yelling at him at the same time. Like it's a very dear memory to me, and part of why I enjoy gaming so much is there's just so much to it, and it's something to do as a group now. Like it's great.
Yeah, that's so cool, because I have very similar like memories of just like the togetherness of, I don't know, the made through video games.
Absolutely.
My favorite memories looking back, like, those are so fond. Yeah. Those were great. So there's kind of a lot of in your childhood, which the Mount Rainier Lutheran High School, and you went to Arizona. And from there, I guess, well, throughout your travels, throughout all that, has your family always been part of St. Luke's and kind of like that, like this community, or do you know if there, I don't know. I'm curious. Like, has St. Luke's always been your home church?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
So I think we were here even before when it was the old church building. Like we're in the podcast room now. This used to be like the old main church area. And I think that's as long as my parents have been here, because they've been in the area for quite some time.
That is.
So we've seen a lot of different changes. We've seen a lot of people like come and go.
Yeah.
But all the time it's been, it's still St. Luke's. Like the core values are still here. We're still agreeing with like everything that's being preached, that's being taught. And like, excuse me.
Yeah, you're good.
And the different like programs and things that are available, and so we're happy to have St. Luke's as our home.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think through your like time in Arizona and figuring things out, not only then but like figuring things out now in life and adulthood and whatnot, how has like your faith walk been like, has it been hard, like trying to just struggle, like what am I doing kind of thing, or is it like, no, like God's got me and it's a walk in the park figuring life out?
It's been complicated, let's put it that way. When I was in high school, I did do a mission trip for several consecutive years. I went with, I believe it was LAMP, the mission group.
Oh, yes.
We would go up to British Columbia in Canada, and we would go to the villages of the Native Canadians, and we would do vacation Bible school for a week. It was like a 10-day mission trip.
Wow.
And we would drive up there.
You'd literally drive all the way through.
Yep. Wow. We had a caravan of like 5 or 6 of the long vans. We had a giant truck like loaded with sleeping bags and tents and stuff because we would camp.
So there's a lot of you going to this.
Oh yeah, because we went to 5 or 6 villages. Yeah. And we had teams of anywhere from like maybe a dozen people to like 20 people. Like there was one of the villages that I went to, we would have to take 2 vans full of just our people every single time.
Wow. And was it always the same mission trip that you?
Yeah, the
same place. I mean,
yeah, the same villages. At least until the last 2 or 3 years that I went, because at that point we got access to a new village.
Oh, okay.
And it was quite literally at the end of the road.
So like as far as you could travel.
Yes.
And I'm sure these roads aren't like paved and like.
This was like the end of the paved road, but it was winding up and down, very hilly, along the coastline.
Yeah.
And the village was called Kincolith.
Kincolith,
like Kincolth.
Okay, Kincolith.
Yep, and
interesting.
It was we would stay in the village for that one because it was at the end of the road, like no camping.
There's nowhere else you could go.
Exactly, we would stay in the church that we were preaching at.
Wow,
and it was a revolutionary experience. Like it was just amazing, like living in the village with the people for a week. Like I say village, like they had electricity, they had like computers and internet and stuff.
Okay,
like that.
so they're not like totally removed from civilization.
No, but the nearest city was like a 2-hour drive away.
Wow.
And so it was a very different sort of lifestyle, like very different values.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun to get to like just know these kids and to bond with them like just over the course of a week. Like we'd all give like we were friends with all the kids, but each of us had like our own special buddy.
Okay, so you're kind of paired with people.
You just kind of get that one kid that you would just kind of click with, and you're like, you're gonna be my buddy for the week. We're gonna hang out, like we're gonna go play basketball together. We're gonna draw. We're gonna sing songs and clap our hands and stuff. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, and so in those trips, did you guys go and just kind of like share the good news, or did you like help like build things? Was it
it was mostly just sharing the good news. It was all vacation Bible school.
Okay.
We'd also have like snacks for the kids and things like that. But the important thing was taking the not coursework, the lessons, because each day was its own specific lesson. And then trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way we can think of to present this? And like we would meet as a team like every morning and every night. Like, okay, how are we going to do this? Like, what do we need to get set up and stuff? One of the ones that stands out most to me is we had to explain heaven to a bunch of kids, and as well as the concept of everybody gets to go to heaven, like no matter what you've done. And it's like, okay, how do we get this across?
Where do we start now with this? And
so we collectively came up with the idea of making it into a game show. And so then
a game show that was most that resembled the game show you guys did. So it was like
that was our presentation method. Was we did it like a game show where the game was called Places People, which I've since learned is an actual like game show.
Places People,
like I think it's either like a British TV or something like that.
I'd be surprised if some other foreign like game kind of show.
But and so the idea was the winner of this game gets to go to heaven. And so I'd be asking like these, of course I got to be the cheesy announcer. And I would ask these questions like, what sorts of people will be in heaven? Like, and at the end, like I'm going through all these questions. We had our panel of 3 people. And at the end I was like, all right, the envelope, and the lucky person who gets to go to heaven is... What do you mean it's everybody?
What is this?
It's kind of the like plot twist at the end where it's like, oh, you think it's only one person? No, it gets to be everybody. And then my co-host, who had kind of been like the timid, not like being obnoxious like I was sort of person, was like, well, here's why everybody gets to go to heaven. It's because of Jesus. It's that simple. Yeah. And so that was and of course, I had brought my laptop with me, so I decided to make it into like a multimedia presentation with music and everything.
Nice. So there was a lot of flair and spectacle too.
Yeah, because that was the fun part, was the church had a projector that was very easy to hook up to. So I had my laptop, I could put music together. I made flashing lights and PowerPoint presentation. Like, it was a lot of fun. And it was one of the more like successful lessons that we did. Yeah, because it was taking this really tough concept and just finding a fun way to communicate it. So getting back on topic though, so that was for several years there, even after college. I did it, I think, for 9 years straight.
So even during the summers in between semesters?
It was always the summer.
Oh god, sweet.
Like 10 days in July usually,
and it always managed to fit that in your. That's a long time, almost a decade straight of.
Yep, and we watch those kids grow up. We keep in touch with some of them on Facebook and be like, oh my gosh, like this person is having a kid now. I remember like carrying them around on piggyback, and stuff.
That's surreal.
And so that sort of stuff stuck with me for a while. But when it came time to let's fast forward a little bit. And talking about like kind of my recent, let's call it occupational crises.
Oh yes.
It's it's trying to know that whatever choices I make, God's got a plan for me, and everything's going to turn out all right. Sometimes it's difficult to maintain that, because that level of faith is like, okay, if I make the choice to consciously quit my job, everything's going to be all right, but I still need money to pay bills and stuff. Like I've got my car, my everything. And so trying to just remember, like, I know I can make these decisions because God is watching out for me, is like, okay, I'm making this decision. I'm definitely not like trying to like keep one hand on like the safety rail. Like, no, I'm gonna let go. Like, and it can be difficult sometimes. Like,
and I wholeheartedly believe that it won't always look like you want it to. Like I am in so much debt and I can't pay like the next things, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. So like, what is this supposed to mean for my life? Like, and it's just, it's a whole different kind of level of trust. And so navigating those kind of occupational crises, just trying to like understand the, like, what's supposed to be happening? Like, is that kind of what you're saying? And like that, like, I don't know what's going to happen next. Like, I don't, like, the future is kind of scary almost. Like,
yeah. And like, cause one of my big things recently has been like, I've changed jobs a number of times in the last like decade.
Yeah.
And growing up, a lot of the ideas was like, you're going to find your dream job and you're going to stick with it for, 30, 40 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that yet. Like, I think about my dad who worked at PSE for like 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And just thinking, how do I get to that sort of level where I am like content with the work that I am doing? I'm making enough money to where I can be like financially stable, not like, exorbitantly wealthy or anything. I just want to like get my bills paid and just to live comfortably. I don't think that's bad.
Yeah. And like your career necessarily doesn't have to mirror that either. Like,
yeah. And that seems to be what's happening is I'm kind of changing jobs every few years. 'Cause it's like things are different now. Things just aren't working out like they used to.
Yeah. And I think we had a podcast episode where we talked about that, with Jerry Church, Carl Church's dad, and like talking about like the jobs we had in our life, and like, so you've been like, and talking about like, you've been doing this job for so many years, like what helped you stay and other things. And I can't remember all of the details that we talked about, but it was just really fascinating hearing about a lot of people. And I don't know if it's like a trend or it's just, it appears that way, but like people years back, like feels like most people just had one job and that's just what happened. But nowadays people are moving around all over. Jobs are regularly changing.
I think part of it, and like without getting too like economic, political, whatever.
No, yeah.
Is I just think we have a lot more options now.
And
between like, and with the advent of having the internet at our fingertips everywhere, like you can do most jobs wherever you go.
Really?
And as a result, I think the big difference is now we have so many more options. Like we can commute a lot more easily to different jobs and stuff. And so maybe it's just learning how to accept a new normal or something like that.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's so true. Because I think of like, whenever I'm hearing or talking to people about moving, I feel like the popular thing right now is for pods. Like, have you heard of pods? Like,
I don't think I have.
You basically it's basically like a fancy looking cargo container, storage container, and you pack it with all your stuff, and then a big truck comes, lifts it up, and just takes it to where you need to go.
Wow.
And it's just like, this moving is so easy. It's not easy. Moving is always like hard.
Yes.
Like it is always a big life change moving, even if you're moving a block away. It's a lot of work, but it feels like significantly easier than it was 20 years ago. Like, I'm sure U-Hauls were a thing. You could rent a truck, which in itself, like, it's simpler than, I don't know what you would do before that. Like,
you call all your friends with minivans.
Yeah. You just caravan across the US. But shipping things very simplified now. Like, it's so much easier to, like, somebody calls you in a different state. They're like, hey, work here. For instance, I was living in Wisconsin and got a call. Hey, want to work here in Washington? Sure. And now I'm here, and like I moved everything up here. And
fair enough.
It is just, again, it was work, but it's easier to just switch jobs. Yeah. All in all. Sorry, it's like a side kind of thing, but it's really fascinating to think about.
Yeah, and that's also relevant though because it's so easy to change, and also because we're in our phones the whole time. Like things are always changing. Things are always like different.
Things are always different.
We talked about sound effects at the beginning of this thing, like different generations. Things like things change in such a short span of time now, and I think kind of having that faith in God and Jesus it's having something concrete.
I like that.
What's it about? Like the calm within the storm or something like that.
Yeah. It's like the comparing. Well, yeah, there's probably a ton of metaphors in that, but like Jesus calming the storm almost,
or the house built upon the rock.
Oh yeah,
the firm foundation.
Yes,
and so like and sometimes it's difficult to like 100% believe in that. Is like, wait, it's just that easy? Like there's no catch, there's no downside. This is something solid and consistent that is always going to be there. And when all we're exposed to is change after change after change, like having that can be, well, I mean, let's face it, grace is unbelievable.
Yeah,
because we've done absolutely nothing to deserve it.
Great.
But we choose to believe it, and that's kind of cool.
And grace and the work of God does its job. It's just in some ways, it's that easy. And like I love the rock metaphor so much, because it's the constant too, not only when things change in life, because there's always constant change, but even when there's things that try to deter me away from faith, and like really hard things in life, like things it's like, why God? Like, and it's those situations, it's like, it's hard and I don't understand it, but I'm gonna rest on this foundation. Like,
exactly.
It is in a sense calming, just knowing that, like, the faith and grace is doing its work even when I don't feel it. Like,
and to kind of expound on that, I think there's a lot of things that happen these days where it's like, it's generally accepted, like, you should always be doing something, like you should always be like working towards the next thing, or trying to like do this or do that. And God kind of says, okay, pump the brakes. It's okay to relax sometimes.
Yes.
It's okay to take it easy. Like, have that peace, have that calm, and get back to it when you're ready to get back to it.
Christ, or like God literally made a day of rest.
Absolutely.
And like, we are supposed to rest. Like, that's part of the design. Like, we're not meant to go, because that's so much of like American culture is like, you gotta be doing something. You're not like, where's your 401k at? Like, everything is something. Like, you gotta be working towards something. And it's exhausting.
Exactly. And so, and like I said, it's unbelievable from like from a non-Christian standard to say, like, what, you just relax, you just trust that everything's going to be okay. And you're kind of like, yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do. And even when it's hard, I will. It is just very comforting to think about. That
exactly.
that grace. It's so fascinating. So thank you for sharing about that, kind of that part of your life and kind of where you're at now with it. And
it definitely took me a long time to kind of get to this point. And I'm sure there's still plenty of times where I worry, I panic, like I'm like, no, I need to be doing all these things to make sure that everything's going to be okay. But I got to remember, I'm not in control.
Yeah.
And it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not be prepared for some things. Yeah. Because in the end, God's got my back.
Yes. And he's got it. And so I like to, when we first started interviewing people and like asking about like their faith walk, like on this podcast 2414, we called it The Journey So Far. And like, now we just kind of use like the name as the title of it, because it's like, that's what it is. You're the topic. But I still really love like that title, that subtitle, just calling it The Journey So Far. And then like, because it's so just honest and like, this is where I'm at in like my faith walk, my life, my everything. It's the journey so far, and that anything can change moving ahead, but this is where I'm at now with things.
I think it's also good just to kind of pause and take stock every now and then of like realize how far you've come, like what you've accomplished as an individual. Like if I look at what I've done so far, I can be proud of the things that I have done. I've got a nephew and niece who adore me. I've got a great relationship with both my brothers and my parents. I've got a good house that I live in, that I pay rent for. I live with my parents. That's okay. They're both retired. I am like helping to contribute my weight. Yeah. And they appreciate the extra help around the house and stuff like that. Like there's nothing wrong with the way I'm currently living my life. No. And like, I'm happy that like because I was only in college for a short time, I've paid off all my student loans.
Yeah. Like, that's amazing. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you. Well, it was only like, about half as much as the average person.
It's still even half, it's still a lot though. Like
absolutely.
It's still work.
And I was able to like buy a really nice car that I'm proud of, that I take good care of. I have a good core group of friends that I see on a regular basis and who are always there to give me grief, because that's how we show affection to each other.
That's how friends love each other.
But then like the minute I give myself any kind of grief, or if I self-deprecate, they get right in my face and they say, no, you stop that. The only one who's allowed to give you grief is us. You are not allowed to give yourself grief because we know you're better than that.
That's amazing. And I love how you put that too, though. It's like we need to stop and pump the brakes every once in a while I love how you said take inventory, but like it's like to count the blessings and like to
exactly
to look back and just admire how you got to where you're at now. And like I don't think most people do that. Like, as sad as it is to say, I don't think most people like appreciate like where they're at now, and like, could things be better? All the time. Absolutely. Like, we can always be in better places, but we're not, and we won't. And so we've got to learn to just appreciate and like be thankful for what we've got.
Yeah, if you're always trying to get to a better place, you might miss the fact that you're already in a good place.
Quote. I love that. Oh, the cheer button. Oh, no.
Oh, gosh. Why did it have to be that cheer?
Good enough for Lord. That. But yeah, I love that. If you're, how did you phrase that again?
If you're always trying to get to a better place, you might not realize you're already in a good place.
Yeah.
Because if all you want is better than what you currently have, then what you have now is never going to be good enough.
Yeah. I love that.
I'll be perfectly upfront. I'm kind of quoting Disney Pixar a little bit.
No. Wait, which movie?
Soul, the one with Jamie Foxx as the musician, the pianist.
Yeah.
And I guess the story is something about like a little fish wants to see the ocean, and another fish is like, you're in it. It's like, no, I want the ocean. I don't quite understand the movie, but it's like it's inspiring.
It is. Yeah, there are some really cool moments in that movie. I haven't seen it in a while. It was like, I think I watched it on a plane flying to somewhere. It was just the passing.
It's got a great performance from it's what's that gentleman's name from the IT Crowd?
Childish Gambino, Donald Glover?
I think it might be Donald Glover, because the kind of villain, quote unquote, that's like, no, you need to be dead. Like, you have to go back.
Is that?
Or maybe he's like one of the steward guys. I just remember it's like one of the guys from IT Crowd, and he does a great job because he's got that charming British accent.
maybe that probably wasn't Donald Glover. I don't know. It had that. Yes.
Oh, wait, isn't Donald Glover from like Community and stuff?
Oh, I'm thinking of Community.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
So that's why I'm messing it up.
Oh boy, everyone who knows these shows and stuff is just like, oh my gosh, David and Shane are so dumb right now.
Just butchering everything you love. I'm sorry.
Moving hastily on from the things we don't know. Want to talk more about video editing and video production?
Yes. So with your kind of your, I don't know, your tenure interning here at St. Luke's for video production. What happened? I want to kind of say it from my memory. One Sunday before church, I was just catching up with you before church, and I was just like, oh, how's life and everything, and kind of what do you want to do? And you're like just saying like, well, I'm currently doing this, but I'd really love to do more like video production stuff and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Like, because like I see a lot of the video production in what I do at St. Luke's and creating a bunch of random stuff where we need. And like, huh. So I brought it up to staff one day. Or like I said, Dave mentioned he's really interested in doing video production stuff. And I think it was Pastor Dan's like, well, we haven't added like intern in a while or for this summer. Maybe it'd be cool to that. I'm like, huh. Yeah, it would. And so that's literally how it went down. And so I reached out to you and said, would you be interested in this? And
I said, yes, please. I would love to do this.
Because that was like at the same time, the exact same time the company you worked for just got bought out.
Yep. It was a literal sign from God, was via church.
Yeah.
It was that, hey, we've got something for you to do that's going to be something that you want to do.
Yeah.
And is also going to help keep you like financially stable while we sort out your next job.
Yeah. While things are getting figured out. Yeah.
Which because it's something I really appreciate. One is that like not only do I get a chance to work with the church, but I'm basically also working for the church.
Yeah.
In that aspect, because every sermon, every like slideshow is a part of video production, and it's important that these things get done. If we didn't have the words and the motion backgrounds during service, like people would notice.
Yes.
And it would, and the service would kind of suffer for it.
Yeah.
So it's nice to kind of being like, okay, these things need to get done, but you know, it takes people to do that.
Yeah.
And so having kind of that opportunity to, like I said, work with and work for the church I've been going to all my life has been a real pleasure.
Sweet. And it's only ramping up. Ha ha ha.
Bamboozled.
You've been bamboozled. Working 90-hour weeks. Good luck.
Oh my Lord.
No, I don't get it. But it's just really fun just kind of just seeing your products, I guess is what you call them, but like your creativeness in effect, like just seeing what you've been able to make so far. And that was only just, I think, a small fraction of I think of what we will see and what we'll be doing with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like we said, the discipleship values videos were, for the most part, very straightforward. It was, and most of the elements I did were an introduction and an ending. With the last two videos with, if you go to the YouTube channel now, you can see them with Pastor David and Pastor Dan both featured. I decided, okay, well let's do a little bit more, and they did some scripture readings during those videos, and so I took a little extra time and put the scriptures into the videos, like as subtitles basically. And so
I did see that too. It's like, oh, that was such a nice touch. I love it.
Yeah, it's like I really wish I'd done this for all the other ones.
You can't make it too good right away.
and that's a part of it too, is that video production is in a way is an art form, and as an artist, it's important to like take inspiration to come up with new ideas and things like that. Like you're a musician, you know what it's like to constantly be learning like new techniques and like chord progressions, like new ideas for songs or like things you could do with the band or the choir. Like there's a lot of creativity involved.
You're basically just I think it was you on the phone. We talked about like in some ways we don't need to reinvent the wheel, but when you're creating a new video, a lot of ways you're reinventing a lot of new wheels.
It's so true. But then it's not just a matter of having the ideas. It's also a matter of, okay, how do I make this happen using the software that I'm using? And now we're back into computer science again.
Yeah, full circle.
And so video production for me is something that I enjoy immensely because it's both facets of that. It's taking those creative ideas and like the thinking outside the box, the fun little edits and music and things, and then using technical expertise to turn the ideas into a reality. Like a painter to canvas, like a musician to an instrument. The software I use is how I do the art. And there's not wishing to like sound pretentious or anything, but it's fun. It's creating, and it's getting all the right things to work together to make a fun finished product.
Yes, that like has a purpose. Like
exactly,
this is going to be used for something, and people are going to see it, and we hope they enjoy it. Kind of thing.
Exactly, and that's kind of how I got my start. Let's rewind a little bit again. It was one summer, there was a flash sale for a video production software. The one I use is called Sony Vegas.
And that's what the sale was for?
Exactly.
Okay.
It was like a suite of Sony software. So like sound editing and a bunch of other like photo editing and things like that. Which unlike some other software companies, like it wasn't a subscription. It's a one-time cost. And so I'm like, well, shoot, this sounds like something I could do, like watch some tutorials, things like that.
Yeah.
And you open up the software, it's like, okay, here's your canvas, start making stuff. And you have no idea where to start because it's a blank slate and there's all these numbers, there's all these icons and things. So it takes a lot of figuring out.
Yeah.
And for anyone who's ever thought about like getting into video production, video editing, the best way to start is to just do it.
Experiment. Yeah,
exactly. There's going to be tutorials online for whatever software you're using. Someone will have tried to do the same thing as you, and they'll have made a tutorial for it because they know that other people want to create things. And you'll come up with ideas like, oh, I want to add this sound, I want to add this graphic, this video, this I want to completely remove one person from this video and then put them into a completely different video. Just do it. Like look up how to do it. You're going to learn that technique, and then you can have that technique for future videos and stuff.
And I like to remind myself too, for like that it's similarly to like learning a new instrument or I don't know, learning a new life skill. When you first do it, it's gonna suck, and that's okay.
Yep.
like, it's okay. Like, but everyone who begins anything new, it's always gonna be either hard, difficult, or it's just like it's not gonna be your best work ever. But at the same time, like we all gotta start there, and you gotta get better somehow, and have fun with it.
Exactly, and you're gonna learn, and that's the important thing. Is like you're always learning. You're always acquiring more tools for your tool belt.
Yeah.
And so let's see, where do I want to go with this? And so like having a project to set for yourself is an important part of that.
Yeah.
Like my start was for I showed you this video. It was a music video of an animation that someone had put up for a kind of a crude song, so I'm not going to talk about it too much here.
Crudish series, I guess.
Yeah, it relatively crude, but the song was really catchy. And so my project was to make a Follow the Bouncing Ball Disney-esque sing-along song for it.
And that was your very first...
Like the first thing that I published, like before, like, you know, operating in, I was using like Windows Movie Maker just for like some school projects or fun little ideas, things like that.
Or it's just like you just chop the videos and there it is.
It's literally just a series of still images and one song underneath.
Oh yeah.
I did get an A for that project though.
It worked.
But so that was my first project. It took me a long time to figure out how to make the ball bounce, how to get the words to scroll up in just the right way.
Yeah.
It took a long time to do, but I was really pleased with the finished product. I think it got maybe 200 views over the course of like 8 years on YouTube.
Which is pretty good for YouTube.
Yeah, like some people saw it, and I'm okay with that. Like, I wasn't setting out to like my goal was not I'm going to be a successful YouTube person. It's like, no, I'm just going to make this fun thing. I'm going to share it with other people to see, but I'm doing this because I want to do it.
Yeah. And you enjoyed it.
Like, exactly. And then later down the line, my friends started doing Twitch streaming. For those who don't know, Twitch is a online platform for people to basically broadcast video games that they are playing for other people to watch
live.
Yes. And the other people that are watching can interact with the person who's playing the games. You can send messages. You can have funny sound effects or visual effects happen on screen, like depending on what's going on. It's a lot of fun. It's like watching a movie together.
It really, it is. And yeah, there's so many people to watch, but
yeah. And part of the Twitch software lets you take clips of the person who's streaming. And so like you can have funny moments or epic moments, things that are like stand up and cheer sorts of moments.
Yeah.
And so what I did was, with my friends who had been playing a lot of games, I grabbed the clips that I wanted from their channels and took my sweet time and started editing them together. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And so I would add like funny little edits, like misleading subtitles or like arrows pointing out like, okay, here's where things are about to go wrong.
Yeah.
There was one game that I turned into a BBC documentary with actual David Attenborough narration.
What?
I'll have to show you that one.
Yeah, I'm
later.
so curious of that.
It's to summarize very quickly. It's a very like Japanese anime based game. My friend is main character is a rabbit, like a rabbit person. And I found a BBC documentary clip of a rabbit and narrating rabbit things.
Yeah.
And so I edited the footage together to make it look like the documentary voiceover was related to the game. and
it actually like kind of lined up.
It like kind of lined up. It was fantastic.
Sweet.
So, and that goes back to what I was saying about, it's all about getting those ideas. And you're like, I could do something really fun with this. And then you do your research, and then you make it happen.
Yeah. That's so, there really is a joy to it. And like something I love about it too is like looking back at your previous like works and creations. It's like, oh, I made that.
Yeah.
Like it's just a unique feeling. Like in that, I guess it's just kind of, that's the art of it. Like you look at it and like, this is what I've created and this is my thing. Like, it's just so cool.
Absolutely. And now I'm doing that for the church that I've basically grown up in.
Yeah.
And it's just such an indescribably good feeling. I'm happy to be doing this. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time. Yeah. And now it's happening. Like, so thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people to thank, like, honestly, like in the whole like process of making it happen and possible. One, we're very thankful for the foundation, the kind of like a group part of St. Luke's that helps people part of our church, like whether that's tuition and scholarships or whatnot else, times of need. We're very thankful for them to make this possible.
The generosity of others.
Yeah, it really is what it comes down to, which is also ministry too. Like,
absolutely.
We exist because of people's generosity. And yeah, so we're thankful to have you help for this too. And yeah, so there's a lot that we're thankful for, and we're taking a moment to break and be thankful for all those things.
Yeah, bring it home.
They're bringing it home. And Undertale and Halo 3.
We are also thankful for our artistic people who make fun games.
Absolutely, we are. So there's a lot we are thankful for. So, Dave, thank you for joining this podcast and like 2414 and just opening up to us, just we can hear about your life and experiences and journey so far with everything. I don't know if you had any kind of final like closing statements of like anything you'd want to share in your life, or
oh man, putting me on the spot.
I know, right? The name of the game.
I guess kind of my send-off would be embrace creativity is it comes in so many different shapes and forms, whether it's fine arts like music or like painting or other, or like writing, those sorts of things, or whether it's, video production or playing games or things that you would normally dismiss as, that's just a hobby, or no, it takes creativity, and it takes someone with an idea to make something enjoyable. And even if you don't think that other people will enjoy it, do it anyways. Do what makes you happy, especially when it comes to creativity. Yeah. Because you have good ideas. And if you can make those ideas come to fruition, there will be someone out there who will enjoy what you do, even if they don't say it. So embrace that creativity, have fun, like think outside the box if you want to. And if you don't want to, then that's totally fine. Yeah. Be who you want to be, and share your ideas with whoever you want.
Oh, I love that. Oh, you sound like you're like reading a script. That was beautiful. I want to cry. I don't know if there's like an awe on this.
So, my man, you got to go to the soundboard.
Yeah, there's no good ones. Oh, here we go. I got one. Well, thank you again, David, so much for your time here. Thank you, listeners, for listening to our conversation. We encourage you to continue the conversation. Keep it going at home. Give this episode a like, a 5-star, a comment, whatever. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, David, for joining us for this.
If you see me at church, I'm happy to talk more.
Amen. Yeah, if you want to keep that conversation with David, I think you could probably see him maybe around on Sunday mornings at St. Luke's at 10:45. Maybe sitting at the tech desk, maybe sitting in a pew and around.
Chances are good, if you're listening to this podcast, you know my parents, because they know everybody at church.
just find Saw Paul Acuña, and they'll connect you with David right away.
There you go.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you, David. We'll catch you guys later.
Take care.
That's the end of the episode, but we want to continue the conversation. Continue the conversation by sharing this episode, subscribing, or leaving a review. Connect with us on Instagram at 2414 podcast. Connect with us through email at 2414@stlukes-church.com. Or best of all, keep the conversation going by inviting someone to process with you, so that you can each walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. If you happen to be in the Seattle-Tacoma area of Washington, stop by on a Sunday morning and say hi. 2414 is a podcast produced by St. Luke's Lutheran Church in Federal Way, Washington. To find more content, discover upcoming opportunities to connect in person, or to support the show, head on over to stlukes-church.com. Thanks for walking with us.